Hi there guys, it's Alec here, and this is a follow-up video on our first video of index and index match that we want to get to. So in our first video we covered how the index function works, and ultimately what we did was we delved into the formula itself, and we used this body of data, or this little database, which is a very small database of 30 rows of random employees that we said, well, these employees took leave over a 12-month period, and in this little data set over here that sits across over this highlighted cells, it says, well, here are my 30 employees and here are the months, and that's the total at the end, and these are the days that each of these employees basically took in each month. So let's go to, for instance, Marley Ashley. She sits across here. And we said, well, how many days of leave did she, for instance, take in the 7th month? So we will do it like that. And where those intersect, the column and the row intersect, that's your data. That's your piece of information that you're looking for. So what index actually helps you to do is ultimately find that piece of data quickly. So to say, well, there's an index function. And what we did last time, we said, well, let's give it the body of data, which was the array. So it reads, give me the data that you want me to go and look up, then give me a row number and give me a column number. Now it's in square brackets over here. Remember these, this is a nice helpful tip that helps you just to understand the actual formula, but it's in square brackets because you don't need to give it if you've only got one column of data. So for instance, if we say over here we just pointed it to a cell, we said, well, let's go and put the row number and the column number in here. So if we were to say, well, let's give it, as we said, this Marley Ashley, which is row 12, and we know the column is column 7, so we go row 12, you'll see that it gives you Marley in here, and column 7 gives you one leave day. So let's test that, because just next to it in Marley, it's, if we go to the right in the 8th column, we got 3 days, and if we say, well, give me column 8, and it gives you 3 days over here. Alright, so now that's a quick way to look up, but it's quite difficult because you're still sitting in a difficult situation. You still have to guess it. You don't know who this actual person is in row 12, so you still have to kind of like, you know, jump between. It's not a real great help here, is it? So instead of putting 12 over here, what you can do, you can actually, I'm just going to put a little row in here, you can actually go and call this up and say, well, let's, instead of doing it as a number format there, let's rather actually go and find this as a drop down list. So let's, for instance, rather in your data over here, you can do a data validation, which is a drop down list. You can quickly click on it. You say, well, let's make a list out of this. So we say a list, and we go and select the options that we have. So we say, well, let's give it over here as in the data set. So what you'll find now, I'm just going to enter that and just show you what ultimately comes out. Now I've got a list of employees that I can actually choose from. The problem obviously with this is, if I've got a duplicate name, it actually won't help me a lot because I don't know which one actually I want to select. So the best way to do this is actually to concatenate these two names and surnames into a unique into a unique field. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert something here, and I'm going to call it name and surname. All right. So concatenate just means combine. So I'm going to zoom slightly out so you guys can still see. So what I'll do is I'm going to say there's two functions for this. There's a equals concatenate function. There you got it. Sorry, concatenate. Okay. So it says just concatenate, combine that. Now the best would be to say, well, concatenate also just a space in between, that's a apostrophe, and the, or what do you call it, inverted commas, sorry, and then give me the surname. So that would be, ultimately I'm just going to put a little space in between the name and the surname. If I don't do that, ultimately I'm just going to get it next to each other. It doesn't read very easily. Now remember, I can double click there, that auto fills it for me to the end of this list. Now, instead of having this drop down, let's just go back to this data validation. Instead of having it in column C, we can move that now to column E. I'm just going to change it right over here. Okay. All right. Now we've got a nice list, you see, over here that ultimately gives me the names. I'm going to increase that size so I can see it over there. All right. Now if I choose Ernst, ultimately I still need to find where this actually sits. Okay, so this is where match helps a lot. Right, so what I'll do is I'm just gonna ungroup this. So a quick shortcut for that is Shift Alt left arrow. So I'm gonna unmatch the row, ungroup the rows. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring this up to the match function. Okay, so now what I want to do is I actually want to call up this number and say, you give me the row and the column I actually gonna ultimately ask you to give me. So let's just do 2 here. We want to say, well, we want to auto find the row number, we want to auto find the actual month. So let's also put a data validation on this. Here we go. So we do a list, and what is it that we always want to find? Well, we always want to find something there. So this is all unique. You'll see it says leave month 1 to 12, and then there's leave total. So all of those rows are actually very unique. So there we go. Sorry, all those fields are unique. So there you'll see they're all unique. So we didn't have to do anything special like we did the concatenate on the name and the surname. All right. So now let's say, for instance, we want month 1 for Ernest Pugh. So match is a function that works as follows. Once we type it in, it gives us a little, a helpful tips here in between. So it says, what is the value you want to look up? Well, firstly, I want to look up this value, right? Okay. And where do I want to look up for it? Well, I actually want to go into this field over here, or this set of data under this field. Now I just want to F4 this because I want to make sure it's fixed. And then what is my match type? Well, 0, I want to match exact. Now it gives me number 3, which means that it knows now it is number 3 in the row of number 3 row in this field. Now I can do the same for my column. I say, well, let me match this column over there, the one I'm going to actually give it, in what array? Well, I want to look at it in this array. From there to there, I'm going to F4 this again, and then which I want to exact match. So I'm going to put a 0 there at the end, enter. Now I'm getting 1. So check now here at the bottom. So I'm going to highlight this for you slightly on yellow. So check these two change now. I'm going to say, well, give me Layla, goes to 8, and give me the 4th month. Now, if I change, remember now how we said we want to actually find out the leave days that was taken by this person. If I change these actual references to these references now, just going to move it across. Now I'm going to say, well, instead of me telling you what the actual person is, I'm going to find the person in the actual list, and I'm going to ask it, I'm going to tell it what actual month I want it on. Now, in here I've said the row number is this reference here at the bottom that I've matched, and the column number is this reference over here, which I've also matched. So I go, okay. Okay, now it's changed to 1. So let's go and test that. That is row 8. So it's over here. That's Layla. We see that. And what is the actual column that we wanted? We wanted the leave in month 4. So let's go and find this. There we go. 1. Did it give us 1? Yes, it did. Nice. Okay, so we would just, let's bold that for a moment and say, well, our answer is actually here in, highlights it in orange. Okay. So now let's change to another one. Chloe, how many days did you take in month 10? You took 2 days. Let's see. Chloe is, I need to probably just remember this, 13. So Chloe is in 13. Yes, she is. And in month 10, 2. And it gave us a 2 there. Right, so that's a way for us to make this index function a little bit more dynamic by giving it answers that mathematically calculates based on the inputs on a selector that we've actually given ourselves here. So there's a little bit of a index function with a match that ultimately points into that index function. So now we've identified how we can use a data set and how we can point or give it a coordinate in a piece of data or in a data table, like we've done here, giving it a row and a column. And then how do we actually go and find dynamically, based on a selector, how do we dynamically find that row and column, and then we've put that back into the index function, which ultimately helps us to get the answer that we want, which is the leave days for this person, Chloe McKnight in this case. All right, in month 10. All right, I hope you guys enjoy that, and stay tuned. We'll be back soon and give you the leave of the index and the match function that's embedded into each other. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye.